Welcome to my video on my current pedal board. This is the 2021 build. It's built on a Temple Audio board, and I'm going to be walking you through all of the features of it and all the pedals on it and all of that stuff. So let's begin, shall we? Let's start with a bit of history on this board. You heard a little bit of me playing the pedal board on the intro. I just want to briefly touch on kind of my story with this specific board and all of that stuff. So my first pedal board was built out of some wood scraps in my parents' garage. I wanted a pedal train board at the time, but me being poor and not poor, I didn't have lots of money, and my parents didn't want to give me lots of money, so I didn't have a job at the time, so I just found some wood scraps that my dad was not using. So I didn't really want to pay $200. I just hacked that thing together. It looked really silly when I only had 4 pedals at the time. And then I just found my grandma's old suitcase, which was for some reason in our garage, and put it in there, and it looked kind of cool. So that was a win, I guess. And I used that for a long time, and it took a long time to really fill it out. But then eventually I was like putting pedals on top of each other. Like I had my Boss RV6 on top of my Line 6 M5, because if you know the M5, it has a space basically where it's just asking to put another pedal on top of it. It was getting out of hand, and the suitcase was starting to fall apart, and it was really big too. It was like way bigger than the pedal board was. So in 2020, I decided I was going to replace it. So I started making YouTube videos in spring break of 2020. That's what I did when I was in quarantine. And I started thinking, maybe I could build another board, because, I'm an engineering student now. I've kind of learned how to, design some stuff. I have access to software. I might as well, try my hand at it. And I tried to design a really great, like, Schmidt Array board copy that was going to be $50 instead of $700 or whatever they charge for those boards. And it was going to be bigger and badder. It was going to hold every single pedal I owned, and it was going to be just the absolute best. It was the everything board. And it had jacks on the side and 2 levels and super functional, and it would be its own case too. I would just build a lid that would just close over the top, and it would have like breakaway hinges, so when you open it you could take the lid off. I bit off a little more than I could chew, so here's what I ended up with at some point. I never finished the lid. I kind of finished the bottom, but it ended up being really strong. The bottom level was super strong, but it was also super heavy. And I realized it was like, man, I really overbuilt some parts of this, but then underbuilt some other parts. So I was like, I just wasn't really sure what to do with it. So then I started playing around with the Pedal Playground online, which is really fantastic. And I used that to design this board, which, by the way, definitely what you should do, go to pedalplayground.com and just grab a board that's the right size or the one that you want to use, and then just start putting pedals together that way. And so that's what I did. I started, making configurations for this new board. And then once I decided I was going to move on from it, I had, was trying out some different Temple boards, because I'd always thought that they were kind of cool. And I was looking at, like the Pedal Train Classic Pro, or the Temple Audio Trio 28, which would have been the same width and depth as this big board that I had built. But ultimately I realized, I can kind of fit a lot of stuff that I want on the Trio 21, which is, as if you've already seen it, this is a Trio 21. And so I said, what if I just downsize, kick a few pedals off? I'm not using all of these pedals at, gigs that I'm playing anyway, which is mostly at church, and I'm not using all the fuzzes and phaser and weird stuff like that. The Pedal Playground really opened my eyes that maybe I could move some things around and configure it in a way that would really make sense and work really well. And then also, if I replace some of the pedals I had with some smaller pedals that did more features, maybe I could actually make the Trio 21 work and be just as good as my everything board, with just a lot less weight and mass. And so I at the time I was using the JHS Superbolt into the JHS Morning Glory with the red remote, and then I would use the EP Boost as a solo boost or to boost in the front, depending on how I had it configured at the time. And I realized I could replace both of them with the Jackson Audio Golden Boy. It had a built-in boost feature, it had multiple gain levels that were foot switchable, and it had more EQ control too, so I figured that would be a win. So I got that pedal, and you can watch the review of that here. Great pedal, I love it so much. And then I was also using the 2-Nose Torpedo Cab M Plus, and that's kind of a big pedal, and it was only mono, and so I always kind of wanted a stereo option like the Iridium, but then the ACS-1 dropped, and I said, well, gosh, that sounds perfect. Presets, an external boost, or like not external boost, a boost for the gain or the volume, which is fantastic, and you can run 2 different amps on 2 different sides. And then I realized if I sold some stuff, like a microphone I wasn't using, some pedals that, the 2 JHS pedals, sold for a decent amount of money, and some other pedals I wasn't using, sold off those, I was able to basically afford the board and these 2 new pedals without losing that much money. I definitely had to pay more for the case of the board. That was expensive, and then the cabling that came with building this board. But honestly, it wasn't that bad. The board itself cost $109, and you can see it down here. It's 21 inches wide, and it's built by Temple Audio, and it's got 2 different types of holes on it. So it has these small holes, and then it's got some bigger, like more oblong, oval shaped holes that you can route cables through. The little ones are for using their modular pedal attachment thing. So basically they have like this quick release system that has adhesive on one side that sticks to the pedal, and then on the back side you have a thumb screw and some alignment things, and the alignment features like lock into those mini holes on the board, and then you screw the thumb screw from the back. I liked that idea. However, I didn't want to pay $50 for quick release stuff when they're just going to break or get stuck on the pedal, and then if I want to swap pedals around, I can't really, I have to buy more quick release things. So I thought that was, and plus people had said that they weren't the most durable, so I eschewed that, an adjustment for the board and the case. Okay, so the board costs $109, the case costs $269. You had $109 plus $269, and that's $378. The case is pretty well built, it's durable, it's rugged, it's a flight case, it's actually smaller than the suitcase that I was lugging around, and I can fit a bigger pedal board in it, so that's kind of a win. I think the padding on towards like the back side is a little bit thin. I would appreciate a little bit more, and maybe just more padding overall, so that they did make the case pretty compact at the expense of some durability. I would hesitate to fly with pedals that have jacks that are hanging over the back side of the board, which I do on some of these. I also had some jacks laying around from my old pedal boards. You can see those right now. I'll insert some B-roll. So I have a PowerCon connector on the side, and then 3 locking 1/4-inch jacks for the input and the 2 stereo outputs. So let's talk through what's on the board, and then I will play all of that stuff. Okay, so let's go over the signal chain of the pedal board. So we start over here. We have, hopefully you can see on this screen here, we have an input jack on the side, so the signal comes in through this coily lad, comes in underneath and goes into a patch cable, and then we come into this pedal, which is the Earthquaker Devices Bit Commander. And then next we flow into the Boss DM2W, and then after that we go into the Electro-Harmonix POG 2, then we come into the JHS Crayon, which is awesome, and then we have the Xotic Effects SP Comp. It's kind of hard to see with the light. Let me try to, there we go, diffuse the light a little bit. Xotic Effects SP Comp. Great compressor, the Electro-Harmonix Crayon, so not to be confused with the JHS Crayon. And then we have the Walrus Audio 385 Overdrive, which is supposed to sound like an old Bell & Howell projector. And then we have the Jackson Audio Golden Boy, which is pretty much the main squeeze on this board. It does all of my medium and low gain drive, and this is for heavier stuff, and this is for boosting primarily. After that, we got the Walrus Audio Monument version 2, harmonic and standard tremolo. This thing is great, tap tempo, lots of features, different wave shapes, soft touch relay switching. Same with the Golden Boy too, I should add. Yeah, so then after that we come to the Boss FV30H. It's a bit of an interesting volume pedal. Not a lot of people have it. I got it because it had the JJS mod, but back when they still did mods. So they don't do that anymore. And it's nice because the mod gives it a buffer, which means that the tuner out doesn't suck any signal, so I retain my high end there. We split out to the Polytune 2 Nor. Great pedal, it's fine. It's not the most precise tuner in the whole wide world. Like the turbo tuner is much more precise. But you know, it gets the job done. I can intonate reasonably well on it. After the volume pedal, we come all the way over to the Walrus Audio Julianna chorus vibrato pedal, and this thing is fantastic. I love it. The signal then splits to a stereo signal, so we go stereo out of here, mono in from the volume pedal, stereo out here, and then we come into the Boss DD500 down here, which is fantastic as well. I've had this pedal forever. I love it. And then we go stereo out to the RV500 Reverb, and then we go stereo out into the Walrus Audio ACS1 for amp and cabinet simulation. And then we have stereo cables that go to the stereo output jacks, and that is how it works. Underneath, it's powered by the Walrus Audio Phoenix, a 15 output isolated power supply. I like it a lot. I think the jacks are really close together, which is a big complaint of mine, and it gets pretty hot. It's also really tall. It's like really tall this way, and the tempo board is kind of flat, and so that means that it's difficult to fit underneath, and I had to put some washers on the feet to lift the board up so that the power supply isn't hitting the ground. But yeah, that's the signal chain of the board. I'll just briefly cover the pedals and some cool sounds in them, and we'll get you on your way. We got the Squier Vintage Modified Jazzmaster here with Fender Pure Vintage 65 pickups. Check out a video on this guitar here. Okay, so let's walk through all the pedals. Let me turn everything off and you can hear what the dry sound sounds like, which probably won't be very nice. I'm gonna just turn on the ACS1 right for now, just so we have a decent tone. It's currently set on the Fullerton amp model with a David Hislop IR for an Eminence 10-inch speaker. EQ's roughly at noon, and it's set close to breakup. Okay, so the very first pedal is the Earthquaker Devices Bit Commander right here, and this pedal's awesome. So let me give you my favorite sound, which is just the octave up, and it sounds absolutely wicked. Let's go to neck pickup. Sounds disgusting on the neck pickup. It's my octave fuzz, so I really love it. It also does monophonic octave down. Let me show you that. And that sounds thusly. Wicked. It also has a bass drive sound, which sounds like this. It's kind of nice. Could be nice if you want to blend that in with some of the other stuff or just use it on its own. There's a filter knob which rolls off some of the high end. Let's just crank everything up on this. That pedal's a hoot and a holler. Never use it, and I never use it in church. Let me turn it off. Soft touch switches, so great. Next we have the Boss DM2W Wazacraft analog delay. This is modeled after their vintage DM2, but it features a custom mode, which I like the sound of a lot more, which has longer delay, and so it just has more chips and sounds like this. Does all the cool spaceship noises. I like it for a slapback in front of drive, which is great for lead tones. Let me demonstrate. Obviously, had a bit of reverb in there, but it was really a fun sound, and so I just like to have it for that slapback stuff, for the spaceship noises. It's really great. Moving on, we have the Pog 2, and this is a polyphonic octave generator from Electro-Harmonix. It's the best sounding octave pedal I've ever played. Yes, there are more versatile ones, ones that do pitch shifting in motion, like the whammy, but I really like this because it has a filter for the octaves, and it has 4 different octaves that you can blend together, and it has a detune feature and a swell feature. It really does it all. So let me just run through a few presets I have. This one's octave up. Here's dry. I got some drive and reverb. First 2 presets are really similar. We have an octave down preset, which sounds like this. More subtle octave down. Do kind of chorus sounds as well. So yeah, it can do pretty much anything, and you can make it sound really like octave pedal-y, really digitally. Like this. Then you just roll that filter knob down and it sounds really, really nice. So it just sounds so good. So that's why I love that pedal. Next we have the JHS Crayon, which is a fuzz, overdrive fuzz that's supposed to sound like a Neve console getting distorted. So think Revolver by the Beatles, that kind of sound. So here is my dry, my clean tone. Pretty fun. It has a volume, it has a pre-volume, which is like the gain, and then a tilt or EQ knob, which is like a tilt at 500 hertz, so it boosts treble frequencies or boosts bass. And then it has a high-pass filter that can be used at 250 or 700 hertz, and that sounds like this. That's at 250, the 700 sounds even worse. Okay, next we have the Xotic SP Comp. That's I turn that on all the time. I use it kind of subtly, evens out my playing a little bit, and just kind of, in general, just makes things sound better. So here we go, bridge pickup with no compressor. It's especially nice on a guitar like this that has single coils that have a bigger fluctuation in between the loud and the quiet sounds. So that's a good thing. I really like it. There's internal dip switches to change the attack or the release time, and you can also you can add a pad and a treble boost or bass cut, something like that in there. There's a blend control, a volume output, and then a compression level control. So it can get really squishy, but you can also hear there's a lot of noise. So the next thing is the Electro-Harmonix Crayon. Now you might be asking yourself, isn't there a Crayon right here? Well, this pedal is slightly different. It's a Electro-Harmonix take on the Xotic BB preamp, which itself is a tube screamer modified with more bass and control over the bass frequencies with this bass knob. Yeah, it's got a full range sound. It's really great because you can make it sound like a tube screamer by turning the bass down, and you can make it sound like a not tube screamer by turning the bass up. So that's really handy. And the reason why both of these pedals are called the Crayon is because they both were companies called them the Crayon and released them on the same day, and then they looked at each other and were like, here's what it sounds like. Pretty fun. It's really versatile, so it's got a huge gain range. My one complaint is that the gain knob, it doesn't really do much past 12. It kind of just gets more compressed after that. But it sounds good, and I like it. They're pretty cheap. You can find them used between $50 and $60, I think, as well. Next, we have the Walrus Audio 385, which is kind of different. This pedal is supposed to sound like an old Bell & Howell projector amp, which had 6V6s in it. It's got a nice American gritty drive sound. I love this for like slightly heavier stuff, so it sounds like this. That's what that sounds like. I love it. It's really great. It's nice I like to put it into the Golden Boy for some more like thickness, for like a lead track or something like that. Jackson Audio Golden Boy. You can find a review of this pedal right here, and it's really, really great. I love it. It kicked a couple pedals off my board, and it sounds awesome. Basically, it's a Blues Breaker style overdrive, similar to the Blues Breaker from Marshall, similar to the Morning Glory, similar to the King of Tone. So here it is. normally use the full boost, and you can change between a bunch of different boost EQs and clipping styles as well. So I'm normally using the 4 silicon diode symmetrical clipping, which is the same type that is used in the King of Tone and the Timmy. And then I usually use the flat boost, at least with this guitar, which sounds a little bit thinner. With 2 presses of a foot switch, I'm back to clean, and I only had to step on 1 pedal. It's super, super handy for that reason. So I love this. I can also use the boost independently. That's really handy if I'm playing like slide, for example, and I just want to get a nice little level boost into the ACS1. Next, we have the Monument by Walrus Audio, and that is a tremolo and harmonic tremolo. It sounds like this. So there you heard the standard and the harmonic tremolo. If you don't know what harmonic tremolo is, just go search it. You'll find it. Volume pedal kind of does what it says. It kind of does what you would think it does. It changes the volume. Okay, camera battery is dying quick. We got the tuner. Let's go to the Julianna. There's a great chorus or vibrato sound. Let me do a full vibrato sound here. No chorus. I really like this pedal. It's got a lot of cool features. Check out my review of that pedal here. And yeah, as you can hear, we split the stereo out after this pedal. Boss DD500, it does a ton of stuff. I mostly just use the tape setting on either the dotted eighth or the quarter note. You could do 2 or 3 delays at once, and it sounds great. Tap tempo, all the good stuff. Boss RV500, I love this pedal. I use it on the hall setting most of the time, and it sounds like this. That's my main sound I use 90% of the time. I have a bigger, thicker sound, which sounds like this. It also does a decent spring, too. We like that as well. Finally, we have the Walrus Audio ACS1 amp and cabinet simulator. It's stereo. You can do different amps left and right. I'm not going to showcase that here. I'll do a review of this pedal shortly, but long story short, it keeps your tone from sounding like butt. So here's some drive from the Golden Boy. Got a Vox, a Marshall, and a Fender sound. Here's the Vox sound. Here's a Marshall sound, I believe. Absolutely glorious. So that's been a very quick walkthrough of my pedal board. Please like and subscribe if you like this video. If not, you can leave a nice but let's just say constructively critical comment. Okay, that's all. My camera's dying. Have a great day.